כן, קצת. Okay. Today is October 23rd, 2023. My name is Natalie Mann. I'm interviewing Avidor Schwartzman for USC Shoah Foundation in Kibbutz Shfaim in Israel in English.
Taina.
So I wanted to thank you for agreeing to speak with us. If at any point you want to stop the interview, please feel free. This is at your pace. Could you please start by introducing yourself?
My name is Avidor Schwartzman. I'm from Kfar Aza. I'm 37 years old. I'll be 38 in a month and a half. I'm a former journalist, former high-tech worker, and until October 7th, I was a media consultant.
Can you take us back to the morning of October 7th? Tell us where you were. What woke you up?
Well, we moved to Kfar Aza about 2 months ago, 2 months before October 7th. And on October 7th, we thought it should be a wonderful morning. We woke up from really loud noises of explosions. It felt that the bombs are falling right next to us. It felt really strong. It didn't feel like interception by the Iron Dome rockets. It felt like the bombs are falling in the kibbutz right next to our house, our home.
Where is your home located?
My home is located, it's called Aneurim Hayashan, the neighborhood, the old youth housing in the kibbutz. Whoever knows the kibbutz, the youth, when you are 15 or 16 years old, you're getting your own apartment. And because I'm married and I have a daughter, we got a little bigger apartment in the same neighborhood. It was like two housing units connected. We had 2 bedrooms, we had a kitchen, we had a living room, and a study inside the living room. And we woke up from sounds of really, really loud explosions. Nothing I've ever heard as a civilian. And the first thing I did, I ran to my daughter's room. My daughter is a 1-year-old baby. I took her and we got into the safe room and we closed. We closed the safe room. And about an hour into the event, I think 7:30 in the morning, we got the message in the kibbutz group on WhatsApp that there are terrorists in the kibbutz. At first we never thought that, there would be so many terrorists in the kibbutz. We thought one, maybe a squad of 4, maybe 5. We never thought that would be dozens, maybe hundreds of terrorists that going from house to house and slaughtering entire families. We heard explosions, we heard a lot of gunfire, a lot of automatic gunfire. And whoever been in the Israeli army, you know that the Israeli army does not fire from personal weapons, from rifles and automatic fire. So we got the idea that the terrorists are in the kibbutz. They're really close to us, and they're firing on something, on someone, but we didn't know who. We thought it was a combat between the first responding team and the terrorists. A little did we know that they ambushed the responding team, the first responders, and they just moved from house to house, killing entire families. Some they're in their beds, We've been all of this time in contact via WhatsApp with my family. I'm originally from the city of Beersheba, with my family that still lives there, with the family of my wife that lives about 150 meters from us. They just moved back after they renovated their house in the kibbutz. They moved back about a week ago, a week before. And with my friends, with one hand I'm holding the doorknob in case someone will try to force themselves into the safe room. And with the other hand, I'm sending WhatsApp messages and SMS messages to all the people that I know, tell them that we're okay. We're now okay for the meantime. Most of the time, we've been in contact with my wife's parents.
What is your wife's name and how old is she?
My wife's name is Keren Flash, and she's 34 years old. She's a Kfar Aza. She's not exactly a native. She moved to Kfar Aza when she was 11 years old, 12 maybe. And she lived there for most of her life with her family. She was born in Niram. It's a kibbutz right next to Kfar Aza. And her family also lived in Niram, and they moved to Kfar Aza in the year 2000, which means they lived there for 23 years. Most of the time we've been in contact with her parents because they're so close, and we knew and heard there are very, very serious and fierce fighting in their neighborhood. In about, I think, 30 minutes past 4 p.m., I saw a message in the general group of the kibbutz that the terrorists are trying to enter their house, my wife's parents' house. A couple of moments later, we got a message that they're trying to force themselves, the terrorists, in my wife's house safe room. We tried to send the messages at about 5 p.m. We tried to send the messages to know that everything is okay, and the army came and somehow managed to rescue them, but nobody answered. When we finally got rescued by the Israeli army, by the IDF, we looked for the parents. We didn't find them, but somehow, somewhere we kind of hoped that they're still alive. Maybe they got evacuated earlier, but we didn't have any firm evidence for it. The IDF came to rescue us, I think, in about 10 p.m., which means we've been closed in the room for 18, 20 hours. 16 hours in the same room. Then they moved us to another safe room. We've been there for another 4 hours, I think.
Another house?
Yeah, with other survivors from the kibbutz. They tried to somehow march us through the kibbutz to, like, they circled us and secured us. So if there are any terrorists in the kibbutz, we thought that the kibbutz was clear. Later on, we got the information that it wasn't entirely clear of terrorists. It wasn't entirely freed. We walked all over the kibbutz. When we walked to some sort of a 7-Eleven kiosk thing that we had near the kibbutz, and which was the pickup point for buses that took us. It was about, I think, 2 a.m. When we walked through the kibbutz, we saw just an idea, because it was pitch black, just an idea of the magnitude of the destruction in the kibbutz. Cars that were flipped over, bodies thrown everywhere, bullet holes everywhere, including on my safe room outer wall. I remember now during our staying in the safe room, we heard like boot stumps on the roof of our house. They fired constantly on our house. We heard a lot of yelling in Arabic all around us. In the end, the IDF rescued us, as I said before. They marched us under fire to the pickup point, where buses took us to another village, small town, about 40 minutes from there. We called our friend who lives in Herzliya, and he came to pick us up. My wife, me, and the baby, and my daughter. We've been in Herzliya for about a day and a half. Then a friend of the family, of my wife's family, told us that we should be here with our community. And so we packed our things and we came here, and we're here for about, I don't know, 2.5 weeks now. אין בעיה. אותו דבר? להגיד...
כן. Today is October 23rd, 2023. My name is Natalie Mann. I am interviewing Avidor Schwartzman for USC Shoah Foundation. The interview is taking place in Kibbutz Shefaim in English. Part 2. Part 2. So you, your wife, and your 1-year-old baby were evacuated from the kibbutz along with quite a few other members around 3 a.m. the following night. And what about your wife's parents?
We didn't have any contact with them since 5 p.m. on October 7th. And the first thing we did when we came to Herzliya, to our friends, we tried to see how can we contact them. I mean, how can we make contact with those that are finding the missing people from the October 7th events, because we didn't have any idea. We didn't have any idea about how many people are dead. We didn't have any idea about how many people from our kibbutz and from the neighboring kibbutz were slaughtered. But we still remained somehow optimistic. On Monday afternoon, early evening, we came here to Shfaim. After we gave a DNA sample to the police in order to look for the parents and to see maybe somehow they are maybe unconscious and in one of the hospitals in Israel. But
Were her parents alone in the house?
yeah, with their dog, small Yorkshire Terrier. Yeah, small dog, and we tried somehow to contact them. We used the social media, we used phones, we used media interviews that we did, but we didn't get any information. On Wednesday night, a close friend of the parents from the kibbutz came to us and gave us the news, but it was unofficial news. She contacted the military officer that was there, and he told her that he rescued 2 bodies from their house and gave us their description, and the description fitted how they looked. But still, we didn't get an official announcement. A couple of hours later, on Thursday afternoon, the army came to us and told us and announced us that Cindy Flash, my wife's mother, was recognized, was identified, and she passed on. She was killed, murdered. About couple of days ago, about a week after we got the announcement about Cindy, we got the announcement also about about my wife's father, Eagle Flash, who was also murdered in their house. In their life and in their death, they've been together. They've always been together. And tomorrow, on October 24th, we will give them their final farewell from us and from our families. Cindy was an American citizen. She came to Israel in '79 as a volunteer, and she fell in love with Igal. And she stayed here, converted to Judaism. And they were like the most wonderful family. They had three daughters, three beautiful daughters, very bright, very smart, both of them, and the daughters, of course. All this time that we had between the official announcements until the official announcement, we still remain somehow optimistic. Maybe somehow we didn't know if we wanted them to be kidnapped and we know that they're alive, or being kidnapped is even worse than being killed. We didn't know, but we still been somehow optimistic. We wanted them to survive because my daughter and my wife, they all were so close, and myself, of course, included. We're all so close. We spent every day together for hours and hours on end. I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours a day together. And now we will bury them tomorrow. Well, not exactly bury, but we'll give them their final farewell, and then we'll go to the States for Cindy's family to say their final goodbyes to Cindy, and then we'll come back here and we'll see how can we rebuild our lives here in Israel, because we've lost everything. I mean, our things, it has no importance, but we lost our house, we lost our things, our car, and most importantly, we lost very loved people, very people that were so close to us. And this is just a small portion from the tragedy of Kfar Aza. This is only one story. I think that here in this kibbutz we have another 50, maybe 60 stories like this. Even 2 weeks later, it's still unimaginable. I can't get my head around it. I mean,
Do you know why it took time to identify their bodies? How did they find them?
I don't know how did they find them. They find them when they rescued the bodies, I think, from the kibbutz. But it took so long because, as far as we know, that there is some sort of a special machine that identifies the bodies, that the people that working there, the medical services are using, and because of all the amount of the bodies, the amount of the dead, it took a lot of time. I think that even now, 2 weeks later, we still don't have any. I don't think that all the bodies was identified yet, were identified yet.
So the family didn't go and do a
No,
second
no, 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 no,
identification.
no, 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 no. I don't think so. No, no. Well, I know that not because we gave a DNA sample in order
To
to
not.
avoid, yeah, to avoid this procedure that is very common in the Jewish religion. Right
Did you
now,
manage with your baby? So many hours in a safety room.
my baby is a real hero. She was quiet for most of this time. She had like a stuffed animal, a stuffed elephant that she played for all of this time. She didn't have any real food. Well, she's a 1 year old, so she eats regular our food. But on that day, she ate only baby formula that we somehow managed to sneak in the room. And we didn't eat anything, my wife and I. We had a little water. And finally, when we got rescued and they moved us to that village that we went to, they gave us some dinner because it was the holiday and they prepared a lot of food, but nobody came because the wars broke out. And so we had something. I couldn't really eat. My wife too, but my daughter did, and that's it. Ever since we're here in Spain.
What kind of thoughts go through your mind? I can't even imagine when you're in the safety room and you're.
In the safety room, I didn't think about anything. I think, as far as I remember, I didn't think about anything. It was pure survival mode. It was. I didn't even sit. I think for more than 20 hours. Just stood there and held the door, and gave waypoints to the army where I think that I hear the terrorists are coming from, for the drones to try to see where they're at, and inform my family and friends that we're okay, and held the door all of this time.
And then until 5 p.m., until you lost contact with the parents, you had contact with the parents.
Yeah, yeah. Every 5 or 10 minutes, we got a message from them.
And then there was no message?
No
Or you
message.
were like,
No, we got. I saw the message in the general group of the in the WhatsApp that they're from Cindy, that they're trying to break into the safe room. And when they didn't, and that was the last message that we got from Cindy and Egal. As soon as I saw this message, I told Karen, my wife, I told her, please send a message to your parents. Tell me that everything is okay. She asks me why. So I told her, trust me, just ask them. And once they didn't answer, so Karen, who is a very bright person, she knew. She already knew what happened. She didn't want to believe that, but she knew. We lost our friends. We lost parents of our friends. I lost other family members that lived in Be'eri, distant relatives, close relatives. People that lived for generations in that area. Generations. 3, maybe 4 generations since the early 40s. Now it's gone. Maybe we'll rebuild it, maybe not, I don't know. But now it's gone.
Is there anything you want people to hear from you, to take from this interview?
We saw the face of evil. We heard their voices. We heard their weapons. Cindy and Igal were humanitarians. They were pro-Palestinian rights, and they were pro-Bedouin rights in the Israeli South. As all of us, we're from the south of Israel, from the Negev Desert. And the evil didn't care about what they did for the people, for humans all around the world. They just seeked for blood. They looked for blood. They wanted to kill as many people and Jews as they could find. So I do believe that we can eventually coexist with the Palestinian people. I do believe this. We have no other choice. But the evil that is called Hamas somehow must be eradicated. Because today it was us, tomorrow it will be the whole world. Maybe not tomorrow, it will be the day after. It will come to each and every one of our doorstep. Because right now in Israel, I don't think there is even one household that's not affected from the events of the October 7th. Right now that we're here, we see the full strength of our community and the kibbutz and the human spirit. And I do believe that the human spirit will win eventually. It must. There is no other choice. I don't look for blood. I don't look for revenge. I just want my daughter to be safe. That's it. That's the only goal that I have in my life.